Welcome to this episode of Women in Rugby League and the Pioneering Years. And I am with an absolute legend today. Those of you that keep in touch with Women's Rugby League will know that our latest inductee, Jane Banks, is here with us today. So welcome, Jane.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Right. Well, I know we've sort of sat and had a chat before and an interview before about your international um playing for Great Britain and county. But what I'm really interested today is with the Pioneering Years project, we're really trying to dig deep into what it was like to play when you started playing and actually how things have changed and what's sort of happening now, the exciting things that are happening now as players beginning to go with the difference. So tell us a bit about how you got started and who you first played for and we'll sort of take it from there.
Yeah, so I started playing when I was 13. To be honest, I always played football. I love football. I always had a football at my foot. And then one of my friends from school said there was rugby training on. It was at Greenhalls, which was an old brewery in Warrington, and it was just like a bit of a had floodlights on there, bit of a Ricky Rocky Astro. Yeah, we got some cut knees on there, but we went down this particular training session, and I absolutely loved it. And then we played, I think the first game that week, back in the day, we didn't have a lot of subs. You was always scrimping and saving, trying to get players whenever you could. So I think I was thrown in the first game, as my memory recalls. But I do remember my first game being at Winnick at Hollins Park in Warrington. And we was playing Wakefield, and at the time, for many years of me playing, Wakefield were the team to beat. So I remember turning up. My dad bought me some football boots. Like I stayed at my friend's ironically the night before because we both were playing for our first game, and we were just like we couldn't sleep, so we just got up and started passing the ball around in the street before this game. Like it was pitch black, early hours in the morning, and then we went down, played the game, and then yeah, it was just like I was like, what do we do? To stand on the wing. You always got put on the wing when you back in the day. Can't go wrong on the wing. I was like, but I genuinely didn't know about passing backwards. I didn't know how to tackle. I didn't have a clue with the rules. And I just turned up, threw myself into it, got carried around by a lot of people on the backs because I couldn't tackle for toffee. Struggled to catch the ball. My hands were that cold because you weren't getting involved that much either, and it was freezing. But I did enjoy it. Ironically, it didn't sound like that then, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then my friend left a couple of weeks later, and I just carried on, and it just went from there, really.
And this was at Warrington, wasn't it? So, because Warrington in the early, because this would have been early 90s, wouldn't it? They
Yeah,
had a team initially there that then folded quite quickly, didn't they?
yeah, they did. Yeah, the team folded, and then we went to play. A few of us stayed, and we went to join Wigan St Pat's, and we played there for quite a few years. Which was nice because then we had like sort of a sponsor behind us, which was a little bit of the next step. We got nice kit, tracksuits, and like the guy who sponsored us, he was getting like coaches put on us for our away matches as well. At that point, that was like a massive stepping stone. Thinking, oh, bit of celebrity status now. We've got a bus and we've got some tracksuits um, so yeah, went through Wigan St Pat's then, and then from there, Wigan St Pat's was starting to fold and struggle because some of the players that played for that team were leaving, and it was really hard to recruit them days. No social media, so it was quite hard to sort of get the message out there that there was a team. And then we set a team up at Hinley Pumas, and some of the old Warrington players came and joined that team, and then we were there for a good few years. It was great.
Yeah, Hindley had a quite a good few seasons, didn't they, of success and playing.
Yeah, we did. We went to quite a few finals and won our league that we were in. Yeah, it was good. It was good because I'd played with those players, some of them in Warrington, some of them at Wigan St Pat's, and everyone just got on really well. So that was great. And then when Hinley started to like win a little bit again, players doing other things in their life, and that started to drop. There wasn't really any girls rugby coming through for grassroots. So if you had no players, you had no players. So teams were folding because we had nobody coming through. And then I went to play for Bradford for 3 years then. And then the travelling after 3 years took its toll a little bit on me. So I then went back when I was working at Warrington Wolves, set up a women's team. There was girls teams involved then, so they did have a pathway. And then I set up the Warrington Wolves town team and played there for a couple of years until I stopped and had my family.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the women, as I'm beginning to uncover all of this, so there was a bit of witness in there as well, wasn't there, where you had a witness team that went to Warrington, that went to Wigan St. Pat's, that went to Hindley, and then eventually you all met back at
Yeah,
Warrington, and you're all still friends.
yeah, we all still keep in touch. We're all really good friends, which is really nice. There was three teams in sort of the same area at one point in Warrington. So you had Warrington Ladies, you had Woolston, and you had Crossfields. And then, like say, you had Widnes with one of the first women's teams, I think, if memory recalls me. And then some of the Widnes players went and did their thing and then came back and started playing again for Hindley, which was dead nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I speak to them a lot, and we always catch up for different events, and we still have socials and things like that. So we are all quite close.
Oh, it's great community. So tell us a bit about playing in those days then. What was it like, sort of traveling away and playing the opposition and the level of competition?
Yeah, traveling was hard at times. We didn't have any sat navs; it wasn't even a thing. Um, so we'd all meet at one designated point. Again, we didn't have mobile phones either. So if players overslept, it was a matter of, right, go and knock on them door. We'd be banging on everyone's doors to get them out of bed. Like, so you're already running late. You had to like get photocopies of the directions, so that was the way we sort of felt. I mean, probably youngsters of today will probably find that even hard to that we knew. Or would get an A to Z out and try and work that out. And yeah, and it was some of the games were quite far away. So say I was playing Hull away or Barrow, and what it was a long. You was up early and you're back really late. But the camaraderie you had during the game on the way down, the laugh and the banter. Obviously playing your game, which was the best part, and then the aftermatch as well was just great. And I think that's what kept everyone's spirits up. Everyone loved the game, and that's why we played. So even training, if it was cold, wet, and windy, we just got on with it. It didn't bother us. That's all we knew. It wasn't, oh, go, it's cold and wet today, we'll go in the gym. There was none of that. All our strength and body weight training was all done outside on the wet grass with hailstone most of the time.
And mud.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because
Yeah,
of course it was in the winter, wasn't it? Women's
yeah,
Rugby League then. It wasn't until I think probably 2012 that it changed. So
yeah.
you'd have been playing winter rugby and training under a street lamp, no doubt.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and running on frozen pitches, and then if it was on a floodlit pitch that cost us a fortune that we had to fundraise to have the lights on to train, we would then like you sort of get adjusted to the dark, don't you? And we'd just carry on playing in the dark. It was like because we didn't want to go home, we just wanted to carry on training.
It's interesting, isn't it? That and it would have all depended on the weather, I suppose, of what level of training you did and fitness and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes if it was really bad, we'd go. It'd be like, right, go for a run, and we'd just go for a run, and that'd be it. We were back, training's done. Like. But it was good because we were together. We were doing it together. So yeah, it did depend on the weather, but a lot of the time it didn't become a barrier. We just had to suck it up and get on with it, really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what sort of training did you used to do then?
If we were fortunate, we'd have tackle bag. When we got tackle shields, we knew we were lucky. So I'm going back many years here, like so. But a lot of it would be we'd do like shuttle runs, fitness testing. We'd get shown how to do some tackling, and a lot of it was like tuck and pass. We learnt the rules as we went along. It wasn't back in the early days, it wasn't that many set plays, or it was just, keep a straight line, get back to the referee. When you've got the ball, run it in, and try and support each other. So yeah, and if we did fitness, it would be more like sprints and running up. We used to have a little hill at Victoria Park in Warrington where we did train, and it'd be like we're doing hill sprints, and we'd just be like, Spruce would make us run up the hill and come down the hill and go up the hill, and it was like, and then run to the tree and back from the tree, and that kind of stuff really. But yeah, it was just nice because everyone like really got on as well, and everyone was really encouraging. So if someone was tired, we'd motivate each other, and you had a bit of a sense of belonging. Well, a huge sense of belonging, to be honest.
So much so you're all still mates now.
Yeah,
Which is brilliant, isn't it?
yeah, definitely.
So when you sort of attached yourself to community clubs, so Wigan St Pat's and Hinley, what was it like then as sort of how were you welcomed into the club?
I mean, we were welcomed into the clubs. We did always seem to have a later kick off, like was almost last, and that meant then there'd been a hot water for our showers. So as soon as the referee blew the whistle, we'd be scrambling to get in, and the amount of time people like, fancy the referee's having a shower first. I'm like, I'm not bothered if it's a referee, male or whatever. I'm having a shower and it's going to be warm. Do you know? I was the first. But it's ironic because when I first started playing, I was only 13 and I wouldn't get in the showers at all. I wouldn't. So my family were great with me. When we played at Warrington, played home games. If it's played away, I'd just throw a tracksuit on and go home dirty. But when played at home, my parents would drive me home so I could have a shower. And then because they were all women, I was playing open age at 13. And the same like going back to sort of like school really as well, school like rugby, not most of the showers, but just a memory, it's just popped in my mind. But because we didn't have girls rugby then, and none of my friends played really on a regular basis at school, it wasn't something they were interested in. I was then allowed to do PE with the boys. So I did and then I did PE with the boys, and I actually did rugby league as my GCSE PE. But I was playing full contact with lads who were 16 with beards. But it was acceptable then, and it was okay. And sometimes they now write things on Facebook about it. I remember you smashing me in school, and it bruised their egos, but also other things.
It's interesting about the showers and things. I know at Dudley Hill they only used to fill up the bath once.
Oh yeah,
So they used to be the last on and have the last bath. Can you
yeah.
imagine that now?
I know. You wouldn't even dip your toe in it, would you?
Oh God, no. Oh God, yeah. So about 10 teams going before you and then you having a bath.
Yeah.
So do
Oh,
you remember much about the sort of social life of part within Women's Rugby League? What that was like?
yeah, I think that stands out more, to be honest. It was always like, even when you were on playing games and it was cold or you were tired or, it was challenging, you used to think, come on, another 10 minutes and you're going to have a laugh in that bar area. And it was just a massive social, we knew that home and away teams, Barrow always put on a good, like a lot of fun of games and things like that, always doing boat races, and we'd all line up near the boat race. Sunday night was like our night out for rugby, even though we all had work very early on Monday morning. But at them days, it didn't really face us. It would now. But we would just we'd do our after match. We used to have karaoke quite a lot as well. Like I've got video of my parents singing karaoke and dancing on the tables and all sorts of things at Hinley. So I've got those. I've got photographic evidence of that. But then we'd all then go out somewhere. So we'd all like go to Warrington, or we'd go to Wigan or Liverpool, and we'd all sort of, someone would drive, we'd all carry on then for the rest of the night. If it was an away game, we'd wait till we get back and we decide what we were doing. And it was quite tough because at the time in the early days, I was when I was old enough to drink, I was working at Royal Mail, so I had to get up for work at like 5 o'clock.
Oh God.
And then we had training on a Monday night, and then it became Monday night, been out on a Sunday. Should we do Monday club? And that became a regular thing. And it was just, I don't know how we did it, to be honest. Just couldn't, like, even just trying to train the next day was like, we were all sore, we were all hungover. And then on a Monday, we'd just go do Monday club. Not now.
No, absolutely not now. Oh gosh, no. How resilient are you as young people?
Yeah, I know. When you look back, it's crazy. It
Yeah, yeah. And
definitely.
how have you seen the game develop then since then? Because I know your last sort of chapter as a player was playing at Warrington, wasn't it? And but you were rugby league development officer then, weren't you?
Yeah, so I was community development officer of Warrington Wolves. So I was I was working and coordinating the primary schools, and then I started to work solely focusing on the girls rugby league in high schools. So I used to go around and do the 6 week curriculum on every high school. I even got two rugby union schools in Warrington on rugby league on their curriculum, which for me was quite a big challenge. And they were really welcoming. The girls loved it. Um, and I think it's because I wasn't their teacher as well. I just literally went at the time the PE lesson was on, set up, and they'd all come running out, dead excited. And then I'd coach them then for 6 weeks, and then they'd play a tournament against the other schools. And then from that, then I started doing a town team training, and then so once a week at different high schools, so it was fair for everybody. I used to go set up, and then I did a little Warrington Moors town team. But a lot of the schools, I think it was Champion Schools, was coming in then, um, and and like I've mentioned, I was coaching Emily. Sure, Tara Jones is in Newman High as well, and Jodie Cunningham, and then I was coaching in the primary schools for them, and then went to high school. And it was nice now because they've had that progression. They're going to be pioneers and role models for the next generation coming through, and it's like a little conveyor belt. But it's nice that like just to see them achieving what they are, and knowing that just turning up to school one day, playing tag rugby, sticking some tags on Emily, and like last year she was captain of England. So yeah, it's great. It's great to see that progression, and the fact that they're all really enjoying it, and the way the game's gone now as well. A lot more professional. They've got like people attending women's games now, playing alongside. Like Saturday coming, England women are playing just before England men, and it's televised, which is huge. We couldn't have even imagined that. If we had a camcorder to video a game, would be made up.
Although
But
you were on New Zealand TV when you were in Canterbury.
yeah, and even that was a bit of a shell shock because we were like, what's on the telly? And it was like massive, and we're all sat around in one room waiting for this news channel to come on. That's the first time really we'd actually seen us on TV.
Yeah, it is totally different, is it? Isn't it? And when you see it now, do you wish you were a player now?
Yeah, and I don't regret any of it, to be honest. I think we all knuckled down. We did what we did. We were passionate about what we did. I don't think it changed anything, if I'm dead honest. I think it shaped us all the way we are, and I think it's led a good pathway for those coming through, and the development of the girls and women's game now. But now, do you know what? I don't think I would change anything.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? And I was saying to you on the Hall of Fame night, I had the honor of going through all the videos really of being able to edit your play so that we could put a 90-second film together. And actually, your phenomenal tackling, I was disappointed if you didn't go in for a third tackle in a set of six. And just your physicality, the way you did it, is from you being those early doors, probably playing with the boys, being
Yeah,
in the school, having to hold your own, made you the player that you were.
yeah, most definitely. And I've got two older brothers as well, so I was always like I was a tomboy growing up. I was always with the lads. I was always wrestling with my brothers. So I think they toughened me up a little bit as well. But yeah, definitely put me in good stead, and sort of just even like sort of the way you work in your life is in your career as well, like teamwork, working hard. You've got to work hard to get what you want out of life, and I think it's exactly the same with rugby. I turned up that day, didn't even know how to catch a ball, didn't know any rules, couldn't tackle. And then you think from that 13-year-old girl, and then to last week standing up and being inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's just something I wouldn't have even imagined happening right when you look back, really. It's all mad.
It's absolutely phenomenal and fully well deserved, you know, because from your international career, but also your playing days, you have such an influence on the game, not just as a player, but as a person as well, as a coach, bringing through the next generation. Jane, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Um, Thank you for your time today. I know you're in a very busy schedule now that you're a woman of the media. So I do appreciate and thank you for all that you've done and given and continue to do. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.